Hi, Tammy.
Hello, Sasha.
Hi. So the reason we're talking today is because you shared in a private practice Facebook group that you're having some challenges talking about yourself when writing your content, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Share a little bit more about what's the most difficult thing about that for you.
Well, talking about myself, one of my challenges is I want people to see me as a person, not just a professional, but I also want to be a professional person, right? So I
Oh,
want to appear relatable, but not feel like I'm disclosing information that's inappropriate. I want people to understand that I'm very well trained in the areas that I specialize in, but not be intimidated by that either. So
mhm.
I feel in word, it's very difficult to convey that relatability mixed with professionalism.
Yeah,
I think
totally.
that's easier face to face, but not in written content. It's more difficult.
Yeah. So the challenge is achieving a balance between you want to be authentic and present yourself as a human being that people can relate to, right? And not a
Yes.
therapist on Mount Olympus, right? But
Right.
also you want your potential clients to feel that you got it, right? That you are
Yes.
trained, that you know what you're doing, and that you can actually help them. And it's
Right. Confidence in my competence.
yeah, and it's difficult because you're not having a conversation in person, right? You can't
Right.
pivot when you need to, right? It's a ready-made static text that you're writing, right? That should work for you without you being there and having a conversation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think I replied to you that the good news that it's not about you, it's about your clients. And I think it probably had like a response for you. Like, maybe
No, no. No, actually, because I do have like my quote unquote dream client, right?
oh, good.
I kind of have an idea of like who I want to work with, but trying to find a way to convey that as well,
Hmm.
when
Yeah,
it's in my head, but getting it out in so
yeah,
yeah.
totally. It's huge. So I want to show you a few examples how to maybe overcome those obstacles. And of course, take it or leave it. Some of those things might be helpful for you and for the therapists who are watching, and some of it won't be. So that's totally fine. But my goal is maybe to accelerate this thing. And just
Okay.
before starting the recording, I started sharing with you that um, in the accelerator program that I'm running for counselors in private practice, one of the main goals is to get the website published as soon as possible for many different reasons. One of them is simply because a website that's good enough, that's already out there and people can find, is better than a masterpiece in the drawer, right? It's kind of, the author who writes a masterpiece for 20 years. I actually had a client like that. And the
Really?
relief he felt when within 2 hours, we took everything he did, it was already edited, and we just, converted it to the Amazon format and published that Kindle book. Uh, it's amazing. It's like, oh, I don't need to work that hard. It's okay. I can give both in a way, metaphorically speaking, and that's important. So one of the reasons why it's important also to publish your website is because Google scans your text, it scans the content and other search engines to see if it's a good fit to rank it higher, maybe even on the first page when people are looking for keywords like counselor, right?
Okay.
And they have the secret sauce that they don't tell anyone, that has many ingredients, how they decide that the website is important enough. One of them, though, is the how for how long the website uh, has been existing, published, right? They think,
Okay.
oh, okay, if this website is up for 3 years now, probably it's maybe a business or a person or that still exists, right? and is still
Okay.
relevant, right? That's why it's
Right.
important to click that publish button. By the way, if you feel like it's not perfect yet,
Mm-hmm.
it's okay too, because it's not that you build it and they will come, because they won't. You need to do a lot of things to actually be found, right? So it's not that
Okay.
it's going to be found right away, right? So it's okay. In a way, it's
Okay.
published and it's public, but it's people won't be able to find it right away. So that's, I hope that's helpful. With at least with
Yes.
the publishing part, right? So it's in a way, it's,
Manage my expectations.
this is the biggest challenge for therapists. I think they rent their office, or prior to Corona at least, right? And they
Right.
expect finish their counseling program or move from a group practice or an agency, and the clients will be knocking their door, and there's some, you know, sobering experience that's happening when that's not the case. Even with a lot of marketing efforts, it takes time. So coming back to what I said in my comment, that it's not about me as a therapist, it's about my clients. I think the best example would be, let's say we're friends, right? And we're meeting
Okay.
each other. Maybe this whole Corona went for too long. Maybe a few months from now, who knows? We're meeting each other, right? And
Okay.
I'm saying, Tammy, you know, I did this training and this training, and I feel like I'm uh, very comfortable with helping people. And then I start talking about myself for half an hour, right? What would be your response as a friend? And I don't ask you anything about you. How would you
That
respond?
you don't care about me.
Exactly, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a shift can happen, I think, for therapists who want to market their private practice, if they start thinking about, just marketing wise, not therapy wise, not in the office, about their potential clients as good friends, and talk to them as they were good friends, not weird people that like reading third person texts, right? All
Okay.
about the other person. Um, how would you feel if right away your friend would say, hey, Tammy, how's it going? I know this whole COVID thing like has big toll on, you know, the emotional well-being and relationships. I bet it's isolating. How are you doing? How would you feel about that kind of approach with your friend?
I would feel cared for.
Mm. But don't you want your uh, friend to be competent and intelligent, and feel like you're in good friend hands in a way?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes, but I think that comes through by caring about me.
Exactly. So they're showing instead of telling, right? They're actually asking,
Right.
how are you doing? And even more, in that example, they made an educated guess how you're doing before you even answered, right?
Okay. Yes.
Oh, they get me, right? They really understand what's going on
Mm-hmm.
for me, right? And they care. So
Okay.
it's not, and probably maybe 10 minutes later, after you're done talking about yourself, right? Right, you probably ask about me. How am I doing too, right? So it should be
Mm-hmm.
a two-sided conversation. It's just me
Right.
missing the point if I'm leading with, it's about me, 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 me. Does
Sure.
that make sense?
It does.
Yeah. So let me share a few examples with you. I'll show, and you know, my websites are work in progress. So this is just an example that might be helpful. So this is
Okay.
couples therapy page that I have. Uh,
Okay.
and I give a few details about myself right away, right? But I'm asking them. So right away, it's a question, right? They need
Okay.
to make a decision right away. Should I stay on the website or should I go? Is that website gonna potentially help me with my problems before they even start reading your text, right? So you need to keep them on the website right away, right?
Yes.
I'm giving a few details about myself, but it's all related to how I can help them. Now, and then I start having a conversation with a friend, right? Instead of talking to my about myself in third person, for example, Sasha Raskin has done, and honestly, I've done pretty much all the trainings in couples therapy, but I'm not leading with that because no one cares, right? All the years in my private practice, I've been asked maybe less than 10 times about my credentials by potential clients and my diplomas and my trainings. And usually the people who ask are couples who are therapists as well. They care.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So I just have a real talk, right? No fancy words. I get it. Relationships are not easy in normal times during a pandemic. By the way, this is important, right? Sometimes counselors get stuck with the perfect text because they think it's gonna be set in stone, right? This is gonna represent me for life. I need to make it perfect. Not sure. It's totally okay to, change and add stuff as you go, even if it's public. And no one's gonna say, hey, Tammy, this is not congruent. Why your website is very different right now, right? People are not gonna visit your website again. I'm trying to think what they might be thinking even, right? All your potential clients want to know is, do you get them? Are you compassionate enough to care about that, their problems? And can you potentially help them? And also how it might feel after working with you, right? So you're actually taking them through an emotional journey of really seeing the gap between where they are right now and where they can be after working with you. And Dan Kennedy said, he's a big marketing guy. By the way, marketing is not a bad word for therapists, right? It's just a way to have conversation with your potential clients, one person at a time. And if you're doing it as a friend, you got it, right? And you've been trained actually to do conversations, right? So if you can translate that training into writing your copy as a conversational copy, you got it. So I'm showing them, I get them, right? So Google reviews are super important because you're breaking kind of the pattern of, okay, I'm reading this text by a person I don't know, and then you have other people talking about you, right? That helps. And about your services. How are we gonna work together? And some creative ways of showing that you're competent, right? That you said something that's very important for you, correct? So just showing a photo of me doing a train with Stan Tapkin, for example, right? What we'll be doing. And another maybe photo. And at the end, yeah, not a problem to have, and probably very important too, maybe towards the end to show what makes you competent. And
I love the picture of you in the Gottmans.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So, by the way,
kind of fangirling over here about that, I gotta say.
What?
I'm kind of fangirling over here about that.
So what's your impression seeing maybe imagining yourself as a potential client, seeing that flow?
I like that flow because I feel like as a potential client, I'd be able to identify if the things I'm experiencing are a good match for the things that you work with.
Yeah, totally. Now there is, it's wonderful to separate, and it's actually expected, you talking about your services and your clients mostly on your service pages and on the homepage from the About Me page. That's where you talk about you.
Okay.
the best way to do so is to break the myth of let's, the myth that we've been taught in counseling programs, the self-disclosure. I think it's very important once, because for counselors who are just at the beginning of their journey, you don't want them to talk about themselves. It's not a friendship conversation, right? So it's important. And I know this, I'm an adjunct faculty in a counseling program. Yeah, it's important to break that pattern. Therapy is not a friendship conversation. And I think, I learned a lot of models of supervision, and the therapist's journey is kind of like learning, and then unlearning. And an important thing to unlearn, I believe at least, is start using self-disclosure as a powerful intervention. And the best way, I think, to start doing that is on the website. Why? Okay. Because and that's how you stand out too from your competitors. You will show them that you're a human being and you're expecting them to be vulnerable and share with a stranger their life, even on the phone call, and you're kind of modeling, it's okay to do so, right? So I'm sharing some, pretty vulnerable things here, unhealthy life choices. I'm not saying, I took pretty much every drug on earth when I was a teenager. That might be too much, right? Even though there are places where I'm doing that. But I am saying, well, I've been there too. And that's important for them because they want to relate. I'll show you an example of my coaching website. And one of my specialties is ADHD coaching. Can you see the page?
Okay. True next step, yes. Yes.
So that's the ADHD coaching. And look at how I start. Full disclosure, I have ADHD. I know how it feels to space out during each one of the classes, be constantly late, have 20 plus amazingly balanced piles of stuff everywhere in my bedroom, right? So I'm taking them through my own story, but meanwhile, they're thinking about their own story, right? And usually when I ask people on a phone consultation, well, at the end, do you have any questions for me? Many of them will say, no, how can we start working together? Many times, I also ask them, why did you choose to contact specifically me? Many times they will say, well, you just get it. And that's such an important sentence, right? I get it because I say, you might be thinking about them, but I also say that I went through a very similar journey.
Okay.
And I bet you said you know your perfect clients. I bet you have many commonalities with your perfect clients, right? You probably went. I
do.
Yeah, it's not a coincidence. That's your perfect client looks at you in the mirror. That's a big one. Isn't that true? So, yeah, you're building a bridge of connection. I get you, and in a way, I'm a little bit at least farther ahead down the journey. I know the road ahead, so I can help you, dear potential client.
Okay.
Do you have any questions so far?
I just would like to review, to go back a little bit. So you put the part about your ideal client on the home page, and then you talk about yourself in the about page. Am I right?
Yeah, and I separate the services pages. And would it be helpful if I show you templates for content generation, for good, authentic marketing content generation?
Sure.
So this is something that I actually teach in the program, in the six-figure practice program. And I'll just take you inside and I'll show you something out of, I think it's in the 3rd week model. So we have a lot of workbooks here, and those designed to help you make this whole marketing journey easy step by step. So an easy one and very helpful marketing text template for your About Me page is the hook story close. I kind of took it and maybe improved it a little from Dean Graziosi. And the hook, draw attention, right?
Okay.
I get it. I have, full disclosure, I have ADHD, okay? The right
Okay.
in. Oh my God, someone that, you know, is not like a psychiatrist who tells me what to do, but they don't get it. This person gets it.
Right. Okay.
Then the story, right? We've been telling stories around the fire for thousands of years, right? And that's
Yes.
the best way to, I think, for humans to get information, right? And with pretty much everyone, majority of the people have the experience from childhood, listening to their parents reading to them stories, right? Bedtime stories. That's a very powerful experience that we are used to. Use it to your advantage. Instead of dry text with facts and laundry list of all your trainings, take them through your journey of before and what the struggle it was for you and the after.
Okay.
The hero's journey. By the way, when people listen to other people's stories, they actually, I don't know if that's your experience, but many times I'm imagining my own story.
Right.
So again, showing, not telling. And this has, but if you do this, it has to be related to the services you're offering, right? So if I work with depression, I'm talking about, yeah, I know how it is to, you know, sleep in bed for 18 hours a day and not wanting to leave my house. And I talk, right, and I talk about the struggle. And I went to a therapist, and it's been so helpful for me, right? That therapist showed me blank, blank, blank. And right now, after I'm, just use a personal example, doing PhD in my in English, which is my third language, and teaching at the university with some severe ADHD, right? And what really helped me is working with therapists and coaches, right? And that kind of led me to doing that work, because I realized it's so powerful. So, and then the close, and that's very important, that like, okay, you can do this. My clients found that working together has been changed their lives in those areas. Let's talk now. Call me, let's have a conversation, right? So you're leading them towards taking action. That's the only actually goal of your text and your website. It's not about representing you nicely online or making you feel good, which are just symptoms, that they're not the goals.
Okay.
The goal is to have people contact you, right?
Right.
Is that helpful for writing the About Me page?
Yes. Yes, it is very helpful. And I think it gave me directions to tweak.
Yeah.
But I think I'm not as far off as I maybe thought I was.
Yes, totally. And you know, when I think about this balance between sharing, you know, human story, my own, and showing competence, a good compass for me is be slightly uncomfortable, slightly outside of my comfort zone in terms of sharing vulnerable stuff, but not too much. That it means that this is way too much, right? But just a little bit out of the comfort zone. That's a good compass. Now,
so when I started the About Me, like just my general background, I started with the fact that my bachelor's is actually in accounting, and pretty soon after I graduated with the bachelor's in accounting, I realized that was not the field for me. So here I am, starting with a whole bunch of student loan in a career I hated, and how I kind of made the journey to find my calling as a therapist and how that was meaningful. So that doesn't sound like it's too much self-disclosure.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I have something very simple, similar. You can go to the sixfigurepractice.com, and this is a new version of the About Me page. I actually called it About Me and You, just to say this is not, so in a way, this photo is a hook, right? What?
Okay, yeah.
Like a childhood photo, right? And humor is fine too, right? You're breaking the pattern of, you know, this therapy thing doesn't have to be suffering and too serious, right? You can have fun as a client doing this, right? So I'm sharing that different challenges and different challenges with financial anxiety, right?
Okay,
And
yeah.
and in by the way, it's totally fine to have different websites.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I have probably like 10 websites, one for therapy, one for coaching. By the way, definitely if you have time, I would go to the sixfigurepractice.com blog, and I have several talks that I did, bunch of
Okay.
free resources here, how to grow your practice. Some of them are why therapists should also become coaches. How can counselors become coaches? And also a talk somewhere here with PhD students about differences between counseling and life coaching. I think counselors are incredibly powerful coaches as well,
Okay.
if they add some goal working and maybe some active that are way better trained than majority of the coaches out there. And it's just another way for you to get clients and help different population. And it's actually
Okay.
really nice to balance. I have half marketing, half well, I guess it's third now. Help one third helping counselors and coaches with marketing their practice, and coaching also, business coaching and ADHD coaching, and therapy, mostly couples therapy. And
Okay.
it's just so nice to have also like high achievers, high functioning individuals to work with to balance the people who talk about depression or fighting all the time. Just as a self-care, I
Right.
think it's so nice to have that balance. Why did I open this? So on coming back to the About Me page, on the coaching website, I have a different About Me page. And coming back to your story, um, if you're not sure what your next step should be, let me tell you that I've been in your shoes. For years, I chased what was not essential, focused on things that I didn't really care about much. And after 6 years of changing my majors in undergrad school, so sounds like that kind of relates to your story. Like I learned accounting, was it, in bachelor's?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So many people that will see you as a therapist, they're on a transition, on a crossroad, right? I don't know if that thing that I'm doing right now or was doing before actually relates to my life right now, whether it's a relationship or a career, whatever it is, right? Maybe I need to change something. So you're saying
Okay.
that, well, I'm not a stranger to change. I've done it successfully, but I also encountered a big challenge during that, right?
Right.
So I get it. And therapists help me. I bet you worked with a therapist yourself as a client. So you're normalizing
Absolutely.
that, and you're showing that you're practicing what you preach too. That's important.
Okay.
Now in the program, we do a lot of other, we have other templates like building your service pages, something that the home page, and much more
Okay.
that we don't have time to go into it right now. But by the way, if you want to get like all the some shameless speech here, if you want to do a short 20-minute crash course, it's free, and it will show you all the marketing strategies that exist. And one of them you can do today before you even have a published website to start getting clients.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so I would definitely do that. I think that, it's been like just such an important journey for me to have help counselors, because majority don't have any business skills or marketing skills. And I think that the system failed you, honestly. 3 years of counseling master's program, zero about how to run your own private practice, probably, right?
Right.
And
Maybe that's where having a bachelor's in accounting comes in handy.
yeah, I have this math of a six-figure practice in the first model, really, literally the first week. Six-figure practice, by the way, not being like no one's here to make to become rich. But there are so many expenses, as you know, as an accountant in running your own business, that to have, to cover all your daily expenses, and also to cover all your business expenses, and gradually move towards comfortable living. And no one's paying you pension when you're a business owner, and you have to pay taxes and marketing budget and insurance, all of that. So 100,000 a year is a really good place to be at, to cover all of that, and also not to, work 40 hours a week and be burnt out too.
Right.
So it's just kind of I guess, a way to assess where, like, that you're in a good place with your practice. The main thing, I guess, like a good summary of everything we talked about, if you can have a clear sentence using this structure to summarize what you do, this is a good assessment that you're very clear on your in your text, right? This is distillment of all these things. So for example, I'm a couples therapist, and I help couples who are dealing with communication problems, with improving their relationship, for example, right?
Okay.
And this is a good way to connect, the story about you and your clients. I'm wondering, what are the most important things that you're taking away, something that's been helpful for you in terms of insights from all of that?
The hook.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and you have a very succinct catch line that grabs people's attention at the beginning of a paragraph to let them know, do they need to keep clicking, or is this the page to be on? And honestly, if they do need to keep clicking, that's a good time to find out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I would rather have my practice filled with clients that I'm a good match with than have people come to me looking for something in therapy and I'm not the right person for it. So, I mean, that is something I typically address in my intake. Like, I start off the intake by saying, we're going to talk, this is how I run through my intake. And then at the end, we'll talk and see if I'm the right fit for you. And if I'm not the right fit for you, that's okay. That's nobody's fault. But I would like to help you get what you need and help you find a client or a therapist who would be a good fit. But this kind of helps filter that out more before that even initial intake.
Yeah, that's so important. It's this whole idea of be careful for what you wish for, because it might come true, right? So if you put the time and the effort, and hopefully you follow a system to build your private practice, whether my accelerator or any other, I don't know, the probably other out there, and you will create a successful private practice. But the thing is, you want to fill it with your perfect clients. Otherwise, you'll find yourself just burnt out. And honestly, you won't be doing your clients any, it won't be a good service really if you're not feeling connected. Not for you, not for them. Yeah, so that totally makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good deal.
All right, I hope it's been helpful, Tammy.
It has. It's been very helpful. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
You're more than welcome.